everybody, my name is Chase Pipes, and you're watching Chasing History, brought to you by American Digger Magazine and the Smoky Mountain Relic Room, and we are out with the Badlands Scientific Expedition, folks. This is Tom and Amanda, and you don't understand, we've been dying to do an episode on this stuff. Pennsylvanian Age fossils. Forget dinosaurs, man. This is way back further than that. This is the early stuff from the Carboniferous Age. We've been dying to do stuff on this. Guys, thank you so much for having us out on your site. Tell us about, so where are we? We're in New Mexico?
We are in Suazo, New Mexico at the Kinney Brick Quarry. And this is a late Pennsylvanian Lagerstadt that it's basically the remains of an estuary.
Okay.
So in the late Pennsylvanian, New Mexico was basically like a series of small islands. We were much more equatorial in position, and there was a lot of water here, open ocean, and off of one of these big islands there was a river that was dumping a bunch of sediment out into the ocean.
So because you're on an island, are the species different? Because it's concentrated to an island than it is in the rest of the Pennsylvanian Age?
Yeah, so it's basically where the fresh water from the rivers meets the salt water from the ocean. So you've got the mix of the fresh and the salt water, so we've got a really wide variety of animals. And being that there's land right there, we've got the terrestrial kind of animals and the ocean animals.
So you've got this island and this river delta going out into the island. That's fascinating. Mm-hmm. Does that change the kind of fossils that you're finding, or is it still kind of the same as the rest of the Pennsylvania?
Most everything here is unique to Kinney.
Okay.
There's things that are similar to other places, but most of the fossils that we find are unique species or new species. When you compare them to other sites.
And people often ask us, why do you have bugs in here and fish? And it's because you've got the land right there, and sometimes the bugs fall into the water.
Oh, okay.
So the river was carrying all this stuff from the land out into the ocean, and that's why you have plants next to sharks, next to cockroaches, and everything.
And let me ask this: you said it's the Kinney Brick Quarry. Is that a literal brick quarry?
So they're mining the mudstone out of here, and they take it back to the brick plant, they grind it up, and they bake it into bricks.
Okay.
It's literally to make bricks out of the mudstone.
So you guys are in here saving a lot of these fossils before they literally get turned into brick.
Yeah, they joke with us sometimes when we find something cool that they had one in the truck and
yeah, they're like, oh, I just saw one of those back at the plant or whatever,
That's awesome. But that's so cool that they let you guys in here
Absolutely.
to collect. That's awesome.
We're extremely lucky to get to come in here.
Now let me ask you guys about you guys. How did you guys get started? You guys started in more of the academic world, right?
Yeah, so we started as volunteers at the Natural History Museum in Albuquerque, and from there, we were also going to UNM at the time and working on geology and biology, and eventually we were impressive to the curators enough that they offered us jobs, and we started working at the Natural History Museum. But after we had children, it was just more convenient for us to do our own thing, and so we started our own fossil company. And because of our previous connections with the museum and meeting the people here at the quarry, this was the first place we started commercially collecting fossils.
And then a lot of this stuff, you guys give or donate to the museum that you used to work for and other institutions?
Yes.
Okay. That's awesome. That's really awesome what you guys do. Well, let's do this. Let's see what kind of fossils you guys are taking out. How does this work? So you've got an active brick quarry right there. They let you guys in here. Did you just pick a spot and dig a hole, or did you walk around and search around to find a good spot?
There are beds that are better than others, so the lower beds are really great for fossils. And we just move wherever they let us be. And we dig holes with tractors. Okay. And lots of hand tools and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like she was saying, some beds are better than others. Up here, there's still fossils, a meter or two above these beds, but in general, most of the fish and sharks and the really good stuff comes down from the lower, limier beds that are closer to the bottom of the quarry.
Okay, so we've done some episodes. I'm sure you guys out there have seen them at the fossil fish quarries. Are you splitting this rock like you would at the fossil fish quarries, or is this a totally different kind of dig?
Yeah.
It's I mean, yeah, so we get in with hammers and paint scrapers and stuff like that, and we're splitting our rock. It doesn't split as anything like the Green River.
Yeah.
We don't get these huge plates or anything like that, but there, you know, it's basically the same idea. You sit down and you break rocks.
It's a package of rocks. So the lower beds are this limestone, and you'll use a tool like this hammer with the flat end to break into it. But just up above that, it's more of a shaly line.
Okay.
And so we'll use things like paint scrapers to go in and lift.
Okay. Well, let's do this. If I know you guys are ready. If you want to, let's pop open some rock and see if we can't find anything. Okay. So you guys are show us the process. So when you guys get started, you clear off a level like here, and you get down to this bare shale. This is shale, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you get down to the bare shale. So you pop it open and then just start splitting. Is that the basic thing?
Basically, so like she was saying, she's in some sort of a limey shale up there, and she can just use a paint scraper because it's not real hard.
Okay.
And I'll get big chunks off and hit them with my hammer to get in deeper.
So what makes the difference between this rock up here and this rock down here?
This is more of a shaly lime down here. This is a bit harder, and you really need a hammer to get into it to just kind of go around and tap it, and hopefully, if there's a fossil in there, you know, causes that weak plane, and hopefully it'll split.
Okay. Now, is this stronger and this weaker because it's been exposed to the surface a little bit more?
It's deeper water, so that's like more of a true limestone, whereas this is a limey shale. So
Okay. Oh, that's cool. So you can tell how deep the water is depending on the density of the rock.
pretty much.
That is so cool. That's awesome. Yeah, so pop it open and you guys just let's see what we can find. What we'll do is we're going to keep the camera rolling and we'll speed through until we find something, and then we'll slow down and we'll show you guys what we find. Yeah. So what's one of the neater things that you guys have found down here doing this?
So a few years ago, I found a 2-foot-long Lysirophian amphibian. It's an amphibian that kind of looks like a snake but with legs.
What? That is nuts.
Awesome.
What's the? It's a Lysirophian.
It's a Lysirophian amphibian called Brachydectes. That's the genus name.
Brachydectes. We're gonna put a picture up if we can find it.
And so like they find them in Texas and some of these other places with red beds where they were living in a semi-arid environment, and so they tend to be curled up in these little estivation balls, and they're usually about yay big. But the one Amanda found was humongous, and I'm guessing it got that big because it was living in a place that it wasn't as seasonal. It's down more equatorial, and it was just able to just grow and grow and grow, and it was all laid out because there's no reason for it to estivate.
Could the island be a part of it?
I can't
Yeah,
really find the T-Rex.
Really could be.
Where's that
It's
T-Rex?
hard to say exactly how an environment affects
Where?
the way the animals grow, but
Where?
but like I was saying earlier, in general things here are unique because it was an island.
Okay.
It's true.
That's
Where,
cool.
Mom? Where?
And animals estivate when the conditions aren't right for them to be out. So
I'm
they
not talking
they
about that one.
dig a little chamber, and they secrete like a mucus around their bodies that keeps them wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy probably didn't have to do that, so he could just grow all year long.
Wow.
That's our guess.
Wow. Now, mostly from this period, people are familiar with, because back east we've got a lot of Pennsylvanian Age fossils. That's some of our primary fossils back east is stuff from this era, and people are familiar with the ferns and the tree roots and all this other stuff. What are some of the things that you guys find out here that isn't found back east?
Sharks are one of the cooler things that come out of here.
So you guys have pulled sharks out of here?
Yeah.
You're kidding!
No.
That's epic!
Yeah, we
With
found
teeth
some
and
awesome
everything?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No
yeah.
way.
So, there was what we call the big shark. It was a big coelacanth shark that we collected while we were still at the museum. Now that thing's about 7 feet long and had these great big spines on the back, and that thing had a mouthful of teeth. Really amazing fossil. But since we've gone commercial and we're doing our own thing, we've found several other smaller sharks, and some ratfish too. So
Do you guys ever find any shark teeth isolated while going
Yeah,
through?
we sure do. And in general, they tend to be this animal called, or a shark called Glaucomanius. They have like they're like multicuspate, so they'll have like one big center cusp and then like two on either side.
Yeah.
Those are pretty cool. Some of the arthropods here are pretty unique. We find a lot of cockroaches, and we find some millipedes, some real big shrimp.
So you're getting a lot of that kind of insect type life found here too.
Yeah.
See, that's cool. In the fossils that I've seen back east, you never see anything like that.
Sure. My favorite fossil that I like to brag about is finding a spider here. I found a spider, and it's the only fossil spider that's ever been discovered in New Mexico.
No, a fossil spider?
Yeah.
That's epic!
Yeah, I mean it's probably my favorite fossil I've ever found personally, and now it was just recently described and named after me. So that's pretty cool, and that's not something that they usually find like in Mason Creek, stuff like that.
What's your year date, like roughly here?
It's about 305 million years old.
A 305 million year old spider.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so freaking awesome.
Pretty
That is
great.
nuts. Wow. And what was the name of it again?
Protolycosa suazo.
And it was a brand new species.
Yes.
Wow.
Brand new species of spider.
Wolf spider relative.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of a spider being that old.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
that's
it's-
got to be among some of the oldest spiders.
It sure is. I think there's a few older ones from a quarry in France, and I think there's one in Russia. I don't remember exactly, but it's absolutely one of the oldest spiders known anywhere.
Wow, that is nuts. Talk about just the perfect conditions to get that.
Yeah, exactly.
So is that what you're finding out at this quarry is you've got just, for whatever reason, or if you know the reason, share it with us, that the conditions were so perfect for fossilization that you get things like spiders and these other little bugs.
Yeah, we call it a fossil Lagerstätten. That's a German word. And that's because we've got such exceptional preservation here. So we get things like soft tissue relatively commonly. We'll find amphibians with their skin intact.
Really?
Recently we found a Eurypterid that's got some soft tissue, which is just like
What?
unheard of.
Yeah.
That's
And
insane.
that's one of the reasons why you get sharks here, right? Because sharks, most of a shark's body isn't hard bone, right?
Right.
Except the teeth, but so they're made out of cartilage, so you have to have a really unique preservational environment to preserve all those soft tissues.
So what was the environment that made this happen? I mean, specifically. I mean, you said it was, we're at kind of a river delta next to an island sort of thing. What was it about those conditions that made it just so, was the fact that it got buried up really quickly? Or
Yeah, so I would say that's a big part of it. It's this low energy river delta that's bringing really, really fine sediments out into the water. But there also must have been, at some point in the water, an area where it became sort of inhospitable for even the bacteria to live.
So low oxygen.
Really low oxygen environment. So
gotcha.
So the bacteria isn't there to break down the soft tissues or anything else for that matter.
that is really cool. Do you see that anywhere else in this period?
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as in New Mexico,
Juice.
there's not a whole lot of places where you get soft tissue preservation.
Juice.
And I've been told that this site in particular, for its age, it's like top 10 in the world.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I mean, if you're finding spiders, I could definitely see.
Yeah,
I could definitely see why. That's awesome. Okay, wait a minute. So what did you just pop up?
A coelacanth.
Whoa, is that's the fish that was discovered off of the coast of Africa that completely rewrote the idea of living fossils.
Yeah, so that they thought that thing was extinct since the end of the Cretaceous, and then lo and behold, poof, there they are, in these deep water areas. But so we also find them here at the Kenny Brick Quarry, And
Are they big or
no, they're a lot smaller. So like the modern day ones are like these 2 meter long beasts. You know, they're huge. But the ones we find here are about 8 or 10 inches long.
Okay. Do me a favor. Let's walk up to the camera and let's show them and explain how you can tell this is a coelacanth.
Well, most of the fish here.
There we go.
Most of the fish here are what are called Paleoniscoids, and they had sort of like bony scales, and so they're covered in scales, bony scales that are black and shiny. Well, this thing, you can see the spinal column and you can see the ribs and part of the tail, and you can't hardly see any scales at all. The scales are there, but they were probably made out of like keratin type stuff.
Gotcha.
And so seeing the inside of the inside pieces of the fish here, that's a dead giveaway that it's a coelacanth.
That it's a coelacanth.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So now that you've got a piece of it here, how are you going to go about finding the rest of it?
Just puzzle
We
work.
reassemble it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll put the rocks back together more or less how they were just now, and then try and find all the pieces that go around it.
Okay. So here's what we'll do. We're going to keep this camera rolling, and we'll probably fast forward through a lot of the puzzle piece, but we'll stop and ask questions along the way.
We'll try and get every piece that goes around it, over-collect, and see. Hopefully we get all of it. But that's a really neat one.
That's
exciting.
cool.
We find maybe 3 or 4 a year of a coelacanth. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So
they're
they're
pretty
super rare.
Yeah.
And see if we can't.
Okay, so that's another way to match it up is by
Mm-hmm.
showing the reverse and seeing where it fits in the rock that way.
It's great.
And see, that's why it's important, when you've got a quarry and you're digging the fossils, is to, keep organized, keep all your pieces together. Because a lot of people I've seen, once they pile out a couple pieces, they're chucking it.
Yeah.
So
Can't step on
this
that.
is great.
Promise, dude.
And this shows the reason why, you need to make sure to, keep a clean quarry, to not just blow through rock, to take your time, because, you can always piece stuff back together. That's the beauty of a prep lab, is being able to take this broken fossil and put it all back together in the lab. But you can't put it back together in the lab unless you can find all the pieces. So you need to take your time, slow down, be diligent, go through, see where it matches up, and
See these lines?
hope to find the rest of it.
Oh.
Okay, so you found where it goes into the wall.
Yes.
All right. And would you mind taking one of the
Sure.
pieces off to show? Okay, so the fish is still going into the wall.
So
Okay.
this is the head, and that's the tail. So hopefully we've got most of the head. If we can find this piece, and we'll look for that too later.
Okay.
But so
We'll look for all of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this is really good because I busted all this up, so all this should just be right here.
Yeah.
So is this like a case where you might just take all of the pieces back home, back to the lab?
If we can't figure it out here in the field, we'll
We'll just collect all
everything.
this. But usually, if we spend a few minutes and just put in a little bit of effort and a little while, we'll be able to figure out what's what here. And,
Okay, cool. Okay, and so the pieces that you're not sure of, you're kind of keeping off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're trying to match the bottom there with the bottom there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow, this should be a puzzle.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean like a Fisher Price or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of
yeah,
puzzle.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, we end up spending a lot of time just putting things back together.
And
You're
this is where
smashing.
a lot of our training at the museum comes in handy.
Yeah.
Because running a prep lab, that was a big part of the job is doing puzzle work. Man, people would bring things in a bag, and it's just like a bag of chunks.
Wow.
And then it was my job to
Put it all
turn
back.
that into something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on average, how many fossils are you guys finding in a day down here?
I mean, you could find, depends on what you're looking for, but, there are some, you could find plants all day long. But something like this, you can go weeks without finding
So like this fossil here, is this something that you guys would consider going to a museum or for sale to the public?
It depends if we found a bunch of them before and if we've already
So
got...
there's a couple different kinds.
Okay.
And in the first year or two that we were collecting this site, we made sure that every single one of them went to the academics to be
Yeah.
studied, because they are so rare. But now they've got a handful of specimens that they can study, and it's probably not so critical to get every single one into a museum. And so this really might be available
Well, and
to private collectors.
right, and that makes a really good point. Is it's like Utah, for example. How many sauropods does Utah need?
Sure.
Know, compared to how many that are out there that are found.
And that's something. That's another thing we learned about working at a museum, is that it costs money to house fossils in a collection. Like, you have to have a cabinet for it. There's got to be someone, a curator there, that's gonna keep after it, and you have to have them cataloged. And I mean, it all costs money just to house them. And so, some of the more common fish here, like a Platysomus, they have at least 20 of them back at the museum in Albuquerque, and I know they don't need any more.
Yeah.
So that's something that if you find a nice Platysomus, those are almost immediately available to private collectors.
Now, how do you guys determine what? Well, I guess because you were in the academic world, you're familiar with what is needed and what is not needed.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you guys go about determining, what you guys are going to sell versus what you guys are going to try to find a home in an institution somewhere?
Yeah, we know the literature really pretty well.
So you guys know what is needed and what isn't.
Pretty much. And if we don't, we'll look it up.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah, so
Will you take
if
this
we
over?
run into something that we're not sure of, that usually means that it needs to go in an institution.
Right. Now, how do you know, when you're sitting there working on a rock, how far to take it and how far not to take it?
In general, if there's a fossil in there, it'll create a plane of weakness. And so you just kind of tap around. And if it doesn't split, that usually means there's nothing in there. But, I split into that, and there was the fish. And it's like, okay, well, now I need to stop splitting, because
Right.
there's the fish. I need to find the rest of the fish.
Right.
And at this point, it would be just make it harder to keep splitting.
Yeah.
So.
What was the planet like during this period of Earth's history? And what did the continents look like? What was alive? All that good stuff.
North America was much closer to the equator, and it was much warmer. And so,
It's hard to believe.
yeah, right, yeah, right, yeah, the way it's been lately. The fish here tend to look kind of tropical, kind of like round, flat-bodied.
Huh, that's interesting. What kind of plants were around? What kind of plants are you guys finding?
A lot of seed ferns.
Okay.
There was a lot of big conifers. There's a lot of most of the plants, basically all the plants that you find now, while some of them have modern analogs, most of the things here are just totally extinct.
Really?
There are no more seed ferns around any of those.
So unlike this fish, there's a lot of species of plant life and obviously, and I guess animal life that don't exist anymore in this period.
Yeah, I would say most of the stuff that you find in Guinea is now extinct.
Yeah.
You've got conifers. That's ferns.
And
They're similar, just not the same
Yeah,
species.
no,
And so, like we're talking about, coelacanth are still around today, but they're monster fish. They're humongous.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Oh, nice!
All right, so now that gives us a new clue that we're looking for something like that.
That's
Why?
awesome.
Does that go?
Just moved it forward.
Find a
Yes!
piece on top of that.
All right,
And then
we're in business.
That's awesome.
It really feels
Let's
like
see,
it is it.
let's see. Yeah, I think that is it.
Oh, good.
All right.
Whoa! Okay, so you guys got the whole thing
Well-
back together.
Oh, we want to look for this now.
Okay, so yeah,
Okay.
well, let's look. Sometimes
That's
it's good to just kind of check and see where you're at.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we're missing a tiny little piece in there. We need to look for that. Let's just find. It's gonna have some fish on it.
And then, but yeah,
But
just
that's
take some
great.
time and a little bit of effort to kind of put stuff back together. Like I was saying, this is not like Green River. You're like,
Right,
split it in there's
yeah.
the whole beautiful thing. This takes a lot of prep work and a lot of patience to sit here. But they're so unique it's always worth it. So the fish.
So show the fish. Fish is there. Okay.
And I had managed to explode it, you know, just looking for the fish. I
Yeah.
had split it into all these different pieces. You know, this was all split up.
That's awesome. Okay, so you guys did an incredible job putting this piece of the puzzle together. What is a lesson that you guys could pass on to people who are fossil digging and blow something up and need to put it back together? Keep all your pieces.
Perseverance,
Definitely don't be chucking stuff down the hill or behind your back. Go slow, be meticulous, and just, you know, be careful to not break things up too much.
Okay. So now that you've got to this point, what's your next step now that you've got everything back together?
We'll go ahead and we'll collect all this.
Okay.
And we might even try and get, you know, some of that back in there so that it's not like a weird piece of shale looking.
Okay.
A weird looking piece of shale. And then it's off to the prep level. We'll glue it back together, and I might, you know, start from there. Well, we'll glue all this back together, and then we'll just prep down using an air tool, going around all this stuff. So every once in a while, you get something that you can actually take that and split it. But I've already split this stuff up so bad that I don't think that's going to be an option.
Okay. Well, do us a favor, and if you get to prepping this before we get this episode out in a few months, would you send us some pictures?
Absolutely, yeah.
Hopefully, no promises, we'll have some pictures to show you guys of the finished fish once it's prepped up. Okay, so we got the fish out that was here, and off camera you guys are telling me that you find plants up, or sharks up here, plants here, and fish down there.
But so I mean, more so plants further up.
Okay.
Sharks kind of in between, and then fish down low.
Okay, so when you guys go to dig this out, because you know you've got different things that you guys are finding, how far do you know to pull it back? Do you like take the plant layer off first and then go down to the fish layer, or do you just kind of tier step it like this?
I would say that's pretty fair. We work our way down. We tend to go through these upper beds first.
Okay.
And then the shark layer you have to be real meticulous about.
Okay.
And then when we hit the fish layer, you just gotta move a lot of rock.
Yeah, move a lot of rock. Yeah. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. I really want to see some plants come out. So we're going to dig down, see what we can find. Isaac's going to jump in here, so we're going to let the camera just roll. We'll fast forward it until we find something cool, or we don't find something cool. We'll just see what we find. So, Isaac, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's jump in. We just got going, and we got a cone. Check that out. So this is one of those conifer cones. This is one of those cones off of a conifer?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is too cool. Oh, you're good. Check this out, guys. Little conifer. I don't know if you guys can see this real well. We'll be sure to show it all afterwards, everything we found. But that is just a really neat plant. Why is it different color? You were saying up where you are, it is black, and down here it's copper. Why is that?
I don't know. I would assume it's a difference in the rock. Like that's more limey and this is more shaly.
Okay.
But I couldn't give you a solid answer as to why.
They're never quite as nice as they are up here.
Yeah, the real nice plants tend to be up here, and even there's like a blue bed that's missing from here.
Yeah.
Those are nice. They're real good contrast.
Nice. We slowed down the fast forward because we've been finding some really cool plants. What do you have that you found here?
This is a frond from a Neuropterus.
Okay.
A Neuropterus is a seed fern, which are all extinct now. But this is one of the more common plants we find here at Kinney.
So it's an extinct fern, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, what are these that we found here?
So that's a conifer.
Okay.
I'm spacing it on the exact name of it, but it's really akin to like a. You ever seen a Norfolk Island pine?
That's really specific. No.
Well, they're these they're these pine trees, and they look almost identical to that.
Okay.
And so I don't know how related they are or not, but they're really nice modern analog as to what the conifers from the Pennsylvanian are.
Okay, cool.
Like, yeah.
Cool. All right, so we're going to keep plowing through. We'll fast forward until we find something cool. Awesome. Oh, we got another plant. Oh, that's cool.
Calamite.
That is really cool.
Foliage.
What's this plant called?
It's Annularia.
Annularia. Here's another neat one we found called Annularia. That is a cool looking plant. Now, is this another conifer?
It's the foliage from a calamite.
So
like
it's
like a horsetail.
Oh, okay. So foliage from something like a
Yeah.
horsetail.
Okay.
All right. So we've got at this for a while. We got a good pound of rock, and we found some really cool plants. This is awesome. I mean, we haven't been digging but maybe more than an hour. We put up some really cool stuff. Can you explain to me what some of this stuff we found is? We've got this piece here.
So this is like a cone from a conifer, like the reproductive part of a Walchian conifer.
Thank you.
What do we got with this guy right here?
So this is
No.
this is the foliage from a Walchian conifer.
Okay.
And like I was saying earlier, it's very much.
So this is the cone, and that's the foliage. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay. All right. What else do we got? I guess that's another conifer cone. What's that?
That is a coprolite.
So you find coprolites in here as well.
Yeah, and it looks like probably.
Poop.
And you can tell that it's got little scales, so it's probably something ate in Acanthides.
So there's
One
some
of
little
these.
scales in here.
Yeah, they're little. They're like sandpapery sized scales.
Okay.
So it's probably from a fish called Acanthides that had these really fine scales.
So was it a predatory fish that ate that fish?
Yes.
Okay, so this is predator poop.
Yeah,
That's
It
cool.
may have even been a shark.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's hard to tell for sure.
That's
What else is
awesome.
eating the acanthodians?
That's awesome. What about that little guy right there?
That's a single pinna from a seed fern. So like kind of like the Neuropterus
Okay.
frond.
So like one of these guys
Oh,
here.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's just the one leaf
Yeah,
off of that
yeah,
fern that's
yeah.
separated out.
Yeah. So the
Okay.
whole thing together is called a pinnule, and each leaf is called a pinna.
Okay, cool. All right, what about you? What kind of stuff did you find?
I've got a Walchian conifer here.
Okay.
Beautiful little specimen. Here's the counterpart.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome that you can see. What is it? 310 million years?
305.
305 million years. You can still see that much detail. That's awesome.
And this is the foliage from a calamite.
Oh, that's
Annularia.
really cool. Now, so when you say caliphyte, what's a caliphyte?
Calamite. It's
Calamite.
it's a big strappy plant with nodes.
Like a horsetail.
Oh, okay. So like, yeah, like a horsetail.
the modern day horsetail. You find them
Okay.
growing along the edges of rivers and stuff.
Okay, cool. All right, now you've also brought some stuff that you guys have found. Let's grab that and
Sure.
show these guys what this stuff is. Okay, so this is some of the stuff that you guys have found here over the years. What do we got?
We've got some plants and some coprolites and a fish. So I can probably just go ahead and open this up. This is pretty neat. This is the coprolite from a shark. And you can tell it's from a shark because it has sort of a spiral pattern to it.
Okay.
And a shark's vent has a spiral shaped muscle that actually extrudes the waste, and so it leaves that pattern on the coprolite.
Really?
Yeah.
So modern sharks have that also?
Yes.
Really? So you can tell because of how it's shaped what
Yeah,
genre of animal it is.
Yeah, this is one of the only kind of coprolites you can say for sure this is from a shark.
Whoa, that is too cool.
Don't break it.
I'd have never thought I got this excited over shark poop.
They're pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Okay, what else we got?
Okay.
I'll put it off to the side.
And this is just a real pretty piece of a plant called Sphenopteridium. Now, I don't know much beyond the name of it,
Wow.
but they're one of the more common plants here.
Okay, all right.
But that's just a nice, pretty piece.
That's cool.
Oh, this is a little harder to see. But
Well, we'll zoom in
sure.
close up.
This is a sort of a disarticulated millipede. And so
Oh,
it's
that's
kind
an
of
insect.
yeah. Well, a millipede it would be a myriapod.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But
Not getting too technical.
But yeah. So this one's kind of falling apart, but you can see the different body segments.
Oh, wow. That is so friggin' cool. That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
That's neat.
And what's this? This is a part of a shrimp. What are they called again, Amanda? Syncarid.
Oh yeah.
Syncarid
Syncarid
shrimp.
shrimps.
Yeah, they're these little shrimps. And again, you can just see some of the body segments there.
Yeah.
Another piece of Sphenopteridium,
Okay.
and this has actually got a piece of a different fern on here called Charlia. That's one of the more rare plants.
No.
And then
I say 19.
another pinule
Mm-hmm.
from a Neuropterus. There's another Neuropteran.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, we've got some more
I
Neuropterans.
didn't want this on.
Let's leave it on, baby.
Multiple
I don't
pinnules
want it
on a single branch there.
Okay.
That's not ours.
Those are all pretty cool.
I didn't want it on.
Sure.
Then
Is this another
Here's-
coprolite?
Here's another coprolite, but it's not necessarily from a shark because it doesn't have that spiral pattern. But it's just got a lot of scales and other bones that you can see in there.
they cook
So
with
definitely,
this.
So another predator.
Yeah, a fish eating eating other fish.
Whoa.
Definitely.
That's cool.
Just a little bit longer.
Okay.
And then let's
Well,
go
let's
to a fish.
show the fish last. But that's a nice.
That's gorgeous.
That's a really nice.
So are these ferns probably the most common stuff that you guys find?
Mm-hmm.
Aside from the shells, the Dumbrella, the
Yeah,
ferns
yeah.
are real
Okay.
common.
Yeah, second only to the shells, but yeah, the plants
Okay.
were pretty commonly preserved.
And then this is a fish.
Yeah,
Whoa.
A fish called Amphicentrum, and it's not the most rare fish, but it's not the most common one either. And there were these little sort of disc-shaped, flat-bodied, tropical-looking things.
Yeah.
Real pretty.
That's just awesome. I mean, I know a lot of the people that are watching, they probably hunt Pennsylvanian stuff, but from back east, and you just don't see fish. So to see
Sure.
fish from this period of history is just incredible. That's too cool. Well, let's do this. Let's put this stuff away, and then we'll close out our episode, because I'm sure you guys are ready to jump on to the next YouTube Chasing History episode. Don't go watch somebody else. Stay chasing history. All right, let's get this stuff put up. All right, Tom, Amanda, thank you guys so much for having us out at your site. This is such a cool period of history and an awesome quarry that you got going on. And what's nuts is we're in New Mexico, and there's stuff going on, and there's fossils in New Mexico. That is just awesome. And so this isn't all you guys are doing. You guys are doing, the dinosaur stuff as well, but this is pretty much your main spot.
This is our favorite for sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
20 minutes from our house. We're in here all the time, year-round. And this is definitely our bread and butter.
Now let me ask you guys this real quick. What is it like going from the academic world to the commercial world?
I think it's great. We're able to raise our kids. We're home, as much as we need to be. We're our own bosses.
And we learned so much on the academic side. It was such a leg up coming
Yeah.
into all this. We had so many connections while we were doing the academic stuff. So yeah, it's been great.
And we're
It's
able
been
to
really
discover
great.
more than we ever did.
And see, that's an interesting point that we were talking about off camera is that you guys have been able to discover more and give more back to science now than you had beforehand, which I find fascinating. I think that's great.
Yeah.
If you guys had any advice to anybody that's out there that's wanting to go this route, what would you guys, what kind of advice would you guys pass on?
Do it.
Yeah, just follow your dreams. Like don't listen to your dad so much. 'Cause my dad was like, "What are you doing?" You know?
Unless you're the cameraman, then yes, listen to your dad.
I don't know.
But yeah, just pursue it. Go after it. We got a lot out of volunteering at our local museum.
That was good.
Yeah, definitely do some volunteer work.
Put your time in, do the work. And you'll reap the rewards.
And work hard at it. When you get a chance to go out in the field, just try and be impressive and try and be helpful and do your part to contribute. That's a huge part of it.
Nice. Now, if people want to get a hold of you guys, if our audience out there would like to see some of the stuff you guys maybe have for sale or just get a hold of you, how can they go about doing that?
Our company is Badlands Scientific Expeditions.
Okay.
And we're on Facebook, and we're just about to launch a website. So it'll be by the same name.
Okay, say that name one more time.
It's Badlands Scientific Expeditions.
Perfect, perfect. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chase.
Happy to
for
have
having
you.
us out.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching. We cannot thank you guys enough. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. If this is your first time watching Chasing History, click subscribe, go back. We got a lot of cool episodes. This is our first one on the Pennsylvanian. Hopefully there will be more. If you guys leave a comment, we sure would appreciate that. You are watching Chasing History. This is the educational arm of the Smoky Mountain Relic Room. Check us out on Facebook, on YouTube, and, oh, wait a minute. You guys do Twitter?
No.
Why not?
We probably need to.
Maybe we'll have a Twitter by then.
No, do not do Twitter.
All right.
They're not on Twitter. We are definitely not on Twitter.
Okay, well, there you go.
Twitter is evil. That's why. Remember, history rocks. Woohoo!
Whoa, guys! Hey, not having a hammer fight. No. I swear to God.
You can eat all of them?
I've never seen that. 2 sauropods in one bite. That is awesome.
Oh yeah, word.
You dumped it out of the water bottle. Oh, can't be hitting mama now.